What is up, YouTube? Okay, so I have this sequence for you and I'm really excited. It's a morning energizing sequence. I know I've released a few of these. This one just hits different. I've really focused on the hips. I think you're gonna love it. You're not even gonna need a mat for this. We're just gonna really work into some slightly longer holds. Great one if you're feeling a little bit stiff. Great one if you're feeling a little bit kind of sluggish. You're not ready to just kind of like bust out a hardcore, intense dynamic yoga sequence. I hope you like it. Let's get started. We're gonna begin this sequence in child's pose. So come to bring the feet together, take the knees out nice and wide, and get ready to take the arms forward. Let your forehead rest on the floor. And just start to breathe. We'll pay attention to the inhalation and the exhalation, noticing how your ribs move as you draw that breath in. And as you exhale, notice what happens. Notice the quality of the exhalation. We'll come up into an all fours position. Coming into cat-cow, inhale, drop the belly, lift the head and the hips, and then exhale, push the floor away, rounding the spine. Inhaling and exhaling, just starting to lubricate the hips, lubricate the spine, opening up through the chest here, pulling the shoulders back. We'll move into some hip cars. So we want to take the hips through their full rotation, or as much rotation as we can. But what we want to do is make sure that our core is active. So we're trying to keep the pelvis stable here. So as I move my leg around like so, I'm also making sure that I don't let my hip pop up and down. So I'm trying to keep my lower back as level as possible as I just bring my knee or my hip through flexion, extension, abduction, moving it around in circles. Beautiful. And then now we're going to go ahead and take the knees even wider. So it's sort of like child's pose, but it's more like kind of halfway between frog and child's pose. So feet are together, knees are out nice and wide, body drops forward. And I just want you to allow your weight to really sink in between the legs here. Then we'll come up and move through extension and flexion of the spine while keeping your legs in this position. So inhaling to extend and open, and then exhaling to round. Notice that my pelvis is moving through an anterior and a posterior pelvic tilt. This is really, really important here. Coming back into an all fours position, bring the right knee forward, extend the left leg, and we're going to move into pigeon. So we want to turn out that right leg and move back into position here. Coming upright in your pigeon pose, aim to have a nice square pelvis. Take a deep breath in, and then we'll go into the forward fold, but this time I want you to take your left arm, thread it through to the right side of you. So your left shoulder is just resting on the floor, and we're twisting into this one. Let your head rest on its side. Breathe into it. It intensifies this position a little bit more. Coming back up to center, we're just going to hold this pigeon position, but start to twist around. And we're going to move into a bit of a twisted position here. But I just want you to hold it. So allow the front of your left hip to stretch. Reach the right arm back behind you, and as you can see, I'm either going to grab my foot around the front like so, or the inside, or if I can, I'm going to open into the chest and grab around the outside of the foot. Just find the position that works for you, and then slowly release that leg back down. Okay, I'm going to take my arms off, out to the side. I'm using my right glute to pull me out of position. Nice. Okay, so we're going to do the other side. Let's extend that right leg back behind you, moving into a left side pigeon. Come up into position first. Hips are square, shoulders are relaxed. Just give yourself some time to get into this position. And then we're going to go ahead and take that variation where we take the right arm and we thread it through. One more breath here. And then when you're ready, go ahead and do that threading variation. This just gives you a slightly deeper stretch on that left hip. Let your head rest down. Focus on every inhalation and every exhalation. If you find that your mind is quite busy, then just try to, every time you kind of catch yourself ruminating, bring your awareness back to the breath and back to the sensation. We're going to come out of it now, and we're just going to keep twisting around to that left side. Just give yourself some time to open up. As you can see, I'm going to bend that back leg. I'm either going to grab around the front or around the outside. We just want to use this not just to pull in and stretch your quadriceps, but also to open up through the chest here a little bit. I'm a little tighter on this side. That's why I just like to hold it a little longer on that tight side. I'm going to hold it here, no hands, and then use my glute to pull myself out. So we build that strength at end range. Beautiful. Okay. Knees hip distance apart, camel pose, tuck your tailbone, hands at the lower back, and just start to lift up through the chest first and come into a gentle back bend. We're then going to sit back down onto the heels, palms rested down on the thighs or facing up, and just breathe and notice the effects of that back bend. Breathing in and out. Let's go again. This part where I tuck my tailbone is really key here, guys. So I really want the posterior pelvic tilt here. I'm going to reach the right hand back towards the heel. The left arm is going to reach up and back behind me. And from there, I use the momentum of that hand to come back up and sit back down onto my heels. Take a deep breath in. Release a full breath out. We'll go again, other side. Again, posterior pelvic tilt. This is so key. Drawing in and up through the pelvic floor here, tucking the tailbone. Use the hands to help you here. So we create more space in the lumbar spine. Left hand goes down to the heel and the right arm goes back behind you. Gaze your eyes towards the fingertips and then come back up. And then sit back down onto your heels. Good. Take a deep breath in. Full breath out. Perfect. Good work, guys. We're going to come onto our back. I want you to just lie down, grab hold of the shins, and just start to take the legs around in circles like I'm doing here. But really try to get loose in the hips. So your arms, here my arms are doing a lot of work. I'm trying to get my legs to be really gooey, really relaxed here. Then I'm going to place my feet down, hip distance apart. Walk the shoulder blades down the back and lift the spine off the floor. I'm then going to tuck my hands underneath my hips. Fingers either pointing out or pointing forward, whichever is right for you. Setu Bandhasana. This is a nice, easy supported bridge pose here. The key thing here that we want to do is really start to lift up through the chest, and then you're going to interlace the fingers behind the back, press the pinkies into the floor, press your heels into the floor, but keep that posterior pelvic tilt, slowly lower down. And then I'm just going to work through internal rotation of the hips. So it's kind of like windshield wiping my legs like so. Internal and external rotation. This just helps to release the lower back here a little bit. I'm going to roll onto my right side, grab the left heel, tuck the heel behind my butt, and come back down onto the floor for a quad stretch. Relax the shoulders, tuck the tailbone. If this is too intense for you, you can always come up onto the elbow like I'm doing right here. Okay? If you want to make it a little bit more intense, right? I'm working my way through the different variations. You can hug that knee in towards your chest. But the key thing, just make sure that left foot is tucked behind you. I know you can't see it in this variation, but you will in a second. But really make sure the toes are pointed. We're going to roll out of it, hug the knees back into the chest. Take those legs around in circles, get them nice and relaxed and loosey-goosey. Roll onto your left side, pull the heel into the buttocks. Now you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. We roll onto our back. Notice there's a little back bend here, and that's okay. But over time, and as you can see, as I lift that foot up, I'm really trying to get my tailbone to tuck. Again, a posterior pelvic tilt to help stretch the front of my right hip and my right quadricep. This can be really intense. It's a really neglected area. So I'm really focusing here. Maybe even close your eyes like I'm doing. Focusing on exhaling. Good, slowly release. We'll bring the soles of the feet together. Let the knees rest out wide. Get nice and comfortable here. Arms out to the side, palms face up at the ceiling. Taking a deep breath in. Hold that breath at the top and then really get nice and relaxed as you exhale. Again, when you find yourself ruminating, guide yourself back to the breath. Hug those knees in and we'll give it a couple of rocks up and down the spine. Get enough momentum to rock all the way up. And we're just going to walk out through the heels here in a kind of like forward fold. So I'm just like straightening one leg, bending the other, letting my head drop down. If you're super tight in the hamstrings, it might be nicer to get your hands up on a table or a bench. Slowly roll all the way up to standing. Arms reach up, palms together. And then exhale, hands at the hips. Come to stand a little higher on your mat or your carpet or rug. We're going to step back into a lunge here. And I'm going to take my arms forward, up and around. So as you can see, I'm raising the leg. I'm going to step back into a lunge, lifting the arms up, out and around, coming back up. So a little bit more dynamic mobility here. Stepping back, inhale, open. Each time I'm going that little bit deeper. So we step back into the lunge, open through the chest, arms extend, and we step forward and up. Let's go again. Inhale, open, maybe drop the head back, and then step back together. Other side, inhale, sweep the arms forward, up, open the chest, maybe look back, come back around. Beautiful. Nice little back bend there. Alrighty, I can't resist anymore. For this, you might want to use your bench for the Cossack squats, okay? And that's going to help you to keep your chest upright. I'm not going to for this variation. My rug's a little bit unsteady here. So I'm going to take the hands behind the head and move into an easy Cossack variation. So with the Cossack squat, you can either let your toes come off the floor for the leg that's straight, or you can keep them flat like so. You get a little bit more groin stretch, ankle stretch if you keep the foot flat, but it's totally up to you. Now, as you can see, I'm starting to move from side to side. Now I'm going to push up out of it, and I'm going to come down to the other side. And we're alternating here, left and right. Now, if you're doing this using your bench, you're just holding onto the bench as you do the exact same thing here. Now, if you have restrictions in the ankle, you will find that the heel will come off the floor or will want to. And we're trying to work into that. And I have more ankle mobility sequences to help with that. Don't worry if it doesn't work today. We're going to move into a forward fold. So keeping the toes turned in slightly, just allow yourself to go into a wide-legged forward fold. Grab hold around maybe the outsides of your shins, your knees, or your ankles if you can reach them. And then from there, we're going to pivot the feet back in and come down into Malasana, a yogic squat here. Now I'm going to use my elbows to push my knees out wide. Again, your ankle mobility, if you're struggling with ankle mobility, your heels may come off the floor. Now from this variation, I'm going to take my right hand to my left ankle, use my left hand to push the left knee away, and we're trying to really straighten out that left arm. I'm breathing here through the side body. Let's switch sides. Really work the shoulder down to the inside of the thigh there. So you're using the shoulder and you're using your hand, really helping to pry those legs open. Pivot the feet back together, hanging forward. We're going to unroll very slowly back up to standing. Big inhale in. And there you have it. All done. Time to get on with your day. I hope you feel good. Don't forget to subscribe for more sequences like this. There's just no excuse not to get your stretch on. See you soon.